my little lottery ticket thing.
Okay, we're being live streamed.
There we are.
Here we are. All right. While everyone's tuning in here, we'll give you a little bit of rundown of what we got going on today. So we've had quite a few conversations about 2022, what's going on, state of the world, all the stuff, real estate market, are we in a bubble, what's going to happen, how do we keep going, there's no listings, all these types of conversations. And one of the questions we oftentimes run into is this question of like, what is follow-up? What should follow-up be? What counts as follow-up? How do I stay in touch with my clients? I've lost touch with my clients. I'm embarrassed to reach out to them now. All sorts of things. And all of it's real, all of it's good. So we want to help you guys work through a lot of this. So I know that Greg was working up on a little intro here for this. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to pass the mic to you here, Greg.
All right. Well, thanks. Hey, welcome everybody. You know, as you think about this, and forgive me for looking at my notes here, but it'll be better if I look at my notes for all of you.
No worries.
Yeah. So, you know, we want every one of you to have a great year in 22. And it appears from everything we're looking at that you are going to have to work a little bit harder. You're going to have to dig a little bit harder. You're going to have to sharpen your sword, so to speak. You are going to have to be better than you were last year if you want to get to where you want to be. And you're going to have to reach out more and more often. And that kind of freaks people out, because one of the things we want to talk about here is, well, what will you say if you reach out? Because that seems to be the hardest thing for agents is, well, I don't know what to say. I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to be seen as that person. Mm-hmm. And we understand that. But you're going to have to communicate more and better. You're going to have to be more impactful in everything that you do. If you don't want to call multiple times, then you have to increase your impact on the touches that you do make. You're going to have to try some new things. You're going to have to be open. The key to changing markets is your ability to adapt. The survivors in the industry are adapters to whatever is taking place. But what some people are going to do to avoid having to do the things that we just mentioned, they're going to want to go out and talk about lowering commissions. They're going to want to go out and talk about, well, what if I offer to pay for this and this and this and this? Or so, and again, you know what, that can be done. I think that all of us have gone down that road at some point, but in the end, I don't know that anybody's going to work with you because you offer to pay something that's worth a couple $100. It might sound like a good thing or a gimmick or something. Maybe it'll catch somebody's attention, but I can tell you that our experience over the years is that doing that one little thing is not as important as you figuring out how to be smarter, better, more impactful, more contacts, and saying the right things. So
I think that you're really right on there, Greg, with that comment, because we know from looking at the statistics on how real estate is done, how most of it's referral based, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's not, people are not shopping around for realtors. They're getting a really, really reputable referral. They're talking to a friend. They know you, they've seen you. They're not shopping around. If they were shopping around, they're not really shopping. A lot of times they're not shopping on price. They're shopping you as a person. Do I connect with you? Do I like you? Do I feel like I should trust you? You know, I've got 3 kids and a spouse here. You know, I don't know if I trust you. Do I want you in my home? Do I want to work with you with my largest investment? Right?
Yeah. So how do you get to be that attracting model versus pursuing?
Mm-hmm.
So first off, let me just make sure that everybody knows who's joining us here today. This is Tracy Johnson. And Tracy has 2 markets that she works out of, but she basically covers the state as one of our broker support people. Tracy is actually head of the broker support team. And so if you ever have an issue trying to reach and get a hold of anybody, Tracy is a good resource. and her numbers are everywhere inside the company website. And just know that Tracy is that resource for just about anything. Matter of fact, before she got into real estate, I referred to her as just asktracy.com. And so she seemed to be helping all of her friends navigate all sorts of different things online and doing it for nothing. So I suggested she get into real estate about 7, 8 years ago, was it?
Oh, almost 10.
Oh, man. All right. Anyway, so Tracy, I want everybody to know before you speak here, just briefly how your career started. And Tracy had a cottage right next to Joyce and myself. And I suggested that I thought Tracy should consider getting into real estate. But Tracy lived over in the Detroit area in Commerce, and 5 Star's not there. And we had been continuously trying to figure out, how do we make 5 Star more virtual? Can we help somebody on the other side of the state? So Tracy was kind of a test case where we thought, okay, let's see if without an office, so she had no office to go to, she had no management, she had no team members, she had no peers in the business over on that. She didn't know anyone in real estate. So we were able to work with Tracy virtually, and the team was able to support Tracy in all of her quest of becoming a professional real estate. Plus, Tracy is driven to know everything, so that helped. But the point is that, you know, a lot of us will say, well, I don't have this, or I don't have that, or whatever. But I want you to know that this person here, Tracy, is somebody for you to reach out to and talk to, because she managed to build a successful business, then a successful team. Now she's on staff at 5 Star, plus she still has her team in the Detroit area. And she and her husband are gradually moving up to the Onekama area where Joyce and I have been hanging out. And so Tracy, how in the heck did you do it? Because really, that's really what we're talking about today. You had to dig deeper, you had to do more, you had to communicate better. There wasn't anything to adapt to because you didn't have anything to adapt. You were just starting from scratch.
Right. Well, I think the hardest part about it was, and it's the whole, how do you attract people to want to work with you? And I kept thinking like, oh gosh, this feels like an Amway, you know, kind of thing. And it made me really uncomfortable. But one of the things that you guys encouraged me to do from the beginning was write that letter. And don't be a secret agent. Tell people you're out there. Let them know you don't know anything, but that you're trying something new. And that's what I did. I sent that letter. I was well sphered because I was in my 40s at that time. So I was well sphered. I knew a lot of people, but they all knew I was trustworthy and I was resourceful. And those were the 2 things that I had going for me. And so I just began to just work my connections by just continuing to be the same person, but wearing a different hat. And so, one of the things that you have to do is you've got to let people know that you're there. You've got to develop systems to continue to work the systems so that you're connecting with people. So if you're on my team, I have them put together a sheet of who they're working with. Where are the touch points? How often are you working with these people? So that you can continuously go back to this list and see, who am I connecting with? Who am I not connecting with? Where have I dropped the ball? I love the ninja guys. And if you're not a ninja student of just listening to their podcasts or joining their Facebook page, I would highly recommend that. They are just an incredible resource for any agent at any level. That's the best part. They teach you to be a connector. They teach you to stay in the flow, basically. And it's easier to stay in the flow with people when you're already in the flow with them. If you're not in the flow with them, figure out how to get in the flow with people.
And real quickly, when you say in the flow, what you're describing is staying in their lives, being a part of their lives, like not as their best friend necessarily.
Right.
But you never have to like reintroduce yourself as, remember, I was your realtor 3 years ago?
Right, because you've been in the flow with them. You're following their Facebook pages. If you're not a Facebook person, be a Facebook person, right? Join Facebook just so you can be friends with your clients, to see what's happening in their life. Today, I saw my one client that her youngest daughter just turned 2. So guess what I did? I said, wow, 2, I can't believe it. You know, find a way to stay in the flow with them that feels authentic, right? Yesterday, somebody on my team drove past the lot that we sold to a client in September and took a picture of the house and sent it in the group text that's like, wow, look what's happened since I was here last, which then started this big conversation about what's happening with the build. And so when I started, I didn't try to be anybody other than myself. And I used unique things. I think one of the things I even encourage our agents to do today is I use lottery tickets. It's $1, but I find ways to send people a $1 lottery ticket with a cute little note. And I always finish, I tape it to the top with a good luck with a smiley face, right? And I just gave this idea to Connor Pillmore, who's one of our NTIs. And he's on Emmett's team, and he started doing this, and then he started getting notes back from people. He started staying in the flow. It's memorable. And if you're somebody new and you're young and you have a lot of friends who are just going to be thinking about buying a house, why not send them a lottery ticket with a cute note that says, hey, I know you're thinking about buying a house in the next year or so. If your ship comes in with this ticket, call me to help you buy the house.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Paul, I want you to share briefly too on what you just did with some of the staff here the other night, because I believe that some of the agents could use this food thing you did.
Oh, well, we are always looking for ways to bring the team together, right? We want to make sure that's really important to make sure that we spend a lot of time working really hard to try and make the agents feel supported and make sure the agents feel cared for. And it was like, okay, well, the staff needs a little love too. So we went over to the local Epicurean, which is a little place down the street here, and we made risotto, had a glass of wine, and so each of us are cooking risotto. We're all cooking and we're hanging out, and we made a tiramisu and we had a great dessert. Don Phelan loved it. The
point that I wanted to get to here was that every one of us has interest that we enjoy in life. It's outside of real estate, but why not function in your gift? Why not function in your passion? And in this case, Paul's big on food and cooking. And so he invites the staff and they go to this event. They don't really know what's going to happen, do they?
I mean, we all knew we were going to cook food, hanging out.
Yeah, but I mean, you brought them there and it was an event. It was, we've heard of the deals where agents open up buy a studio for an evening where they can then invite the families to come in and do the movie thing.
Right.
We've heard,
right.
There was a new one we just heard of this week. We talked about that maybe that was this food thing. I don't remember, but
a couple of things we run into that are pretty common here, Greg and Tracy, when we're talking to agents about staying in flow or staying in the rhythm or whatever word you want to use, right? We have two things. One, you've got brand new realtors. What am I staying in the flow about, and who am I staying in the flow with?
Well, you know what I like? 5-Star Real Estate produces our monthly stats. Every time I get this stat, it is the simplest, easiest thing, whether you're somebody that's been selling for 30 years or 3 months. This is a statistic that is live, it's today, it's real, and suddenly you have value because you know something about the market that perhaps the people in your sphere don't. Use it. We produce it for you. It's super simple. Share it on your Facebook page. Send it in an email. I think it's excellent. It's well done. And you can depend on it every month.
I was discussing this real quick. Because I want to, before we leave the new agent thing real quick, Greg, because we have several different scenarios we can discuss on how to do this thing. So when you're new, it's different than having a whole bunch of clients. You can just call them like, hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing? Right? It's different, right? And that feeling that Tracy described earlier, of feeling like a little icky and weird and salesy and what do you do? And I don't want to sound like I'm selling Amway. So one of the things that I was talking to with an agent about maybe like last week or the week before, and I just talked about it at the coffee hour this morning. This guy, he's like, hey, I'm newer. I feel weird. He's like, I've got a large sphere, but I don't really know what to do. So I'm posting on social media all the time. And that's not kicking into high gear for me. And the bottom line is social media is great. It's wonderful. And it's going to work for some people. it's not going to be something that you can necessarily for everyone completely rely on. So especially when you need to make things happen faster. So my advice to him, and follow me here, was you have friends, right? You have people who know you. He's like, absolutely. I said, great. Grab 20 people that you have a ton of respect for. And they know that you're newer. They know you're getting this thing rocking and rolling. Call them up. Tell them you want to take them out to coffee. And the whole point is you want to pick their brains. And you want to ask them how you can grow your business. You want to ask them what they think of your marketing. You want to ask them what they want to know about real estate. What would interest them if you were to call them in the future? What would interest them if you were to email them? And because you respect this person's opinion, and let them speak back to you and speak into you. And the reason I'm saying to do this is because that is your sphere. And right now you have no past sales to talk to that person about. Like, hey, did you remodel your kitchen? Like that didn't happen yet for you guys because you're new. But what happens is when you get 20 to 30 people who are investing themselves into you, and then your marketing comes out and your postcard shows up and your email shows up, they're going to go, I had influence over this. This is in relation to my conversation that we had when we had coffee 3-4 weeks ago, and they're going to be proud of you and they're going to look out for you. And then you're on the top, and now you are now top of mind as their realtor going forward. So use these creative ways to connect with people and use their influence, right? But find ways to connect.
All right. So in this same vein, still, I mean, I think that experienced agents can use these things also. As they're trying to jumpstart 2022 here, which we're now into March already. But now's the time that you have to reach out. As I was talking about in the opening, what are you going to say? And Paul is suggesting right now that come up with some questions. And here's an example of a real simple thing that would start a dialogue. Have you ever gone online and looked at Zillow or any of these other home sites? And then what did you learn, or what did you see? What did you like?
About it? What do you wish? You could say, like, what do you love about Zillow? What do you wish? What do you want to know they don't tell you? I mean, but really quickly here, when we're having these conversations with these people, remember, they're buying a house once every 10 years. Okay. So this is not an immediate game with them, but each of them know 4 people that are going to buy and sell this year. Right?
Exactly.
That's why we're following up with these people, right?
That's right. That's right.
We're following up with them, not because they might sell a house in 10 years with us, or
because they're well sphered.
Yeah, if they're well sphered. So what you're doing is you're trying to become connected with them in such a way so that that when their friends start giving the signals that they're going to be buying and selling, they will say, if you're going to be buying and selling a house, you need to talk to Tracy. You need to talk to Connor. You need to talk to David. You need to talk to whomever it might be. That's why you're staying in the flow with these people. You're not just trying to sell them another home or whatever. It's not about that individual. It's about the greater picture.
Yeah. And I like what you said before, Paul, too, about inviting them into the conversation so they feel like they're actually a part of your success. So that when they begin to refer to you, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. I played a little part in that.
Yep. And that's when we described like ambassadors or raving fans or like your varsity team, your A-list. These are the people who would be willing to interrupt a conversation to let someone know about you. That, hey, I heard you talking about real estate. You should call Tracy. Those are your people.
So Tracy, putting you on a spot here a little bit, but if your business went totally dry and you needed listings,
yep,
you were you could either call, text, email, send something. Where would you go and what would you do?
Well, I like visual things. And so when I think about a tree, right? A tree goes up and the branches go out. As my tree began to grow up, I got branches that went out all over the place. Some branches bared more fruit and had more branches than others. But if I continue to water down into my tree versus casting water out over a big field, I'm going to produce more fruit if I just keep pouring down. So if you keep focusing on a small list of people over and over and over again, consistently, That's where I think the fruit is going to be, that's where you're going to bear fruit, is from that. And so if things feel dry, I think you got to go back to the well. You got to go back down. You got to dig deep with all the people that helped you bear fruit. Remind them that you're there. I love picking up the phone. I'm a phone caller.
Okay. So you get them on the phone. Where are you going to go? You're going to talk about the weather?
No, well, I just like to talk to them about themselves, because it's about a relationship. It's not about real estate. But then you finish perhaps with asking, hey, I'm not sure if you know kind of what's happening in the market. This is where we're at. I'm looking to connect with more people, just like I've connected with yourself. So just reminding them that I'm there, and that if they happen to know anybody, please direct them my way.
All righty. So Paul?
So what do you do if you're an agent that has done 20 deals, 10 deals, 60 deals, and it was like, oh, follow up, whoops, I haven't followed up with anybody. What do I do?
Yeah.
And now I'm embarrassed. I feel weird. I haven't talked to them in 2 years. What if they've moved? What if they know a new realtor? I'm so embarrassed. What am I going to do?
Well, here's one thing for sure. If you don't own it, and if you don't force yourself to reach out, one thing is for sure, you're not watering that tree at all that Tracy was just talking about. And those branches are going to shrivel and turn brown and die.
And one thing you taught me early on when I screwed up in a transaction, I forgot to set up something. I forgot to get I don't know if a lot of realtors know this, but we used to have to order sidewalk inspections on every single sale. And the number of times, 5 days before a closing, you're like, oh my gosh, the sidewalk inspection. It's not a thing anymore. We don't do it anymore, thank goodness. But Greg, you told me, Paul, when you've messed up, when you're responsible, you're the pro, and you screwed this thing up, you need to go in there, as you said, own it, acknowledge it, because if you don't acknowledge it and you think you can just like breeze past it, they're going to look at you and go, And you said, take the wind out of the sails.
Right.
Because if you haven't spoken to your past clients in 2 years, I'm not suggesting you walk in with your tails between your legs.
I have walked in with my tail between my legs.
I do think you can acknowledge that, hey, I'm so sorry I haven't been in touch with you in so long. I am so sorry. I'm kicking off this new thing, and I'm going to stay in touch with you, and acknowledge it, and then kick it into the next thing.
Yeah.
So Tracy, what you just said, I think a minute ago, is that you're just going to go in and you're going to try to find connection in the conversation with the family, friends, their tree that you know about. If you know somebody else they know, you're going to use whatever you can. But if it's, some of these agents are going to have worked with somebody that they really don't know, and they don't really have a relationship with them, but yet they did have a sale with them 5 years ago, 7 years ago. I mean, what do you think you would do in that circumstance? Where would you go in a conversation? Would you go with a note first on a note card? Would you go with a phone call still? Where do you think you'd go?
Again, I think I'm more relational, although I do love writing notes, and people love to get notes. And I don't have to pretend when I call them about who I am or what I do. They know. In fact, when they see my name, they're probably thinking, oh, she's calling me about, who knows. But at the end of the day, I don't have to pretend that. And the conversation naturally goes to real estate. When you know people, no matter how you've been introduced to them, they know you're a realtor. So these kinds of conversations just lend to go in that direction themselves. But at the end of the day, you just ask for it, whether you point to a stat like, hey, I'm not sure if you're following real estate or if you're following any of these websites, but let me tell you about the statistic. Year over year, month over month, this is where we're at. And I'm one of these people that, I've been doing this much business in a year, and I'm looking to continue to stay on that same trajectory. And I'm hoping to partner with friends like you who know me, like me, and trust me, who would be willing to refer me to your friends. It's a big ask, but if you don't ask, there's some statistic that talks about every person knows 6 to 7 realtors. Somebody else will ask. So if you don't take the risk in asking, what's the risk? What could hurt? And nothing could be harmed by it. But if you don't ask, somebody else will.
Yep.
Thank you. So Paul,
and if you never talk to them again, you can be certain that you're going to have very, very few referrals coming back.
That's right.
To be honest with you.
I mean,
Well,
and again, this is the give versus receive thing that seems to work in life, where the givers, the people that do more, the people that give more, seem to get more back. The people that squeeze it, choke it, that are tight, it seems to return in a similar way. And
I think
it just seems like life's journey to me.
right. And I think that if you're watching this video and you're going, I've been in the business for a little while, I'm not getting a lot of referrals. Why?
That's a great question.
I think you need to ask that question. And it's important that we all look in the mirror a little bit and we discuss, like, why am I not getting referrals? What's going on? I was talking to an agent a couple of years ago about open houses. And I was like, oh man, open houses were an absolute amazing thing for me. Like, I could count on open houses every single year, definitely like 5-6 transactions from an open house. And I had someone saying, I've never once got a lead from an open house. And I'm like, well, how many do you hold in a year? She's like, probably 30 a year. I'm like, okay. And how many years? She's like, 4 or 5 years. I'm like, you've had 0 leads from an open house in 4 to 5 years, doing 30 a year. And I was like, have you ever thought about changing your approach to open houses? And it didn't register.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to, if we start to ask the right questions of ourselves, because real estate is an individual sport.
Yeah.
You're the only one in the game. And if no one's passing you the ball, you got to try to get open.
Right.
So a couple things here to wrap this up, guys. Tracy's brought it up a couple times, Ninja. One of the things that they do is they teach you what to say. They teach you things that you can do that are not salesy. They teach you things to help you build relationship and build a sphere. And so that's coming up. Is that in June?
September? When is it?
May
May.
16.
It's
May
May.
16.
May 16.
Yep.
All right. And it's going to be in Grand Rapids.
Yep.
And it's 4 days.
In the Grand Rapids area.
Okay, Grand Rapids area. And is it 4 days total?
4 days. Yep.
And it's a commitment, but you know what? If you are wanting to grow, or if you're struggling, you need to try to find a way to pull this off and get there. I know that some people are going to think it's expensive. I think it's about $800.
It's like $795, but I was talking about it this morning at a coffee hour, and it's like, guys, if you've gone to university, if you've gone to any class, you're taking that class before you've gotten to the end. You don't have a job yet. You've not gone into the workforce, but you went to college believing it was going to do something for you. This class right here, I can show you time and time again, it's a fraction of the cost of college. And I can get you connected with, if you're like skeptical, I can connect you with people like Marissa Harrington, Julie Reisner, Micah Childress, Krista Bukema. There's so many amazing realtors at the company that have gone through this class that say this class was instrumental in my success. It gave them a roadmap for every single day of the week. For the whole year, you know what to do. You'll never wake up and go, what should I do in real estate today? You'll know exactly what you should do.
So the bottom line here, guys, is you are going to have to dig a little deeper in 2022. You're going to have to reach out to more people. You're going to have to communicate more and better. You're going to have to be more impactful. You're going to have to be willing to try new ways, new things. You're going to have to adapt. Yeah. And if you get stuck, well, then call us and we will help you get unstuck. So anyway, hey, God bless all of you guys. Let's keep it rolling here. I know there's a lot of tough things going on. My heart goes out, of course, to what's going on overseas right now. And it's hard to believe what those people are dealing with. And then today we each wake up and we're thinking about, where we're going to have a burger or whatever. And these people are fighting for their lives. So anyway, let's go do it.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being a part of it. Thanks, Tracy, for joining us today.
Yeah, and hey, I'll say just a plug for the 10,000 Club tomorrow. We're going to be talking about referrals. So if you're watching this today and you have time to tune in tomorrow or later, we're going to be talking about how we can get referrals as agents between each other. So tune in at 10 a.m.
And you can join.
So Tracy, some of these
You can
people
come
may
on real
not
quick.
even know what 10,000 is.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. So we have a room that was designed for newer agents called 5-Star Classroom. You can search for it and it'll show up and you can join. We'll approve you to join. And our broker support team, including Tracy and some others, runs a live stream like this one every single Thursday at 10 a.m. And we pick topics like lead generation tomorrow or referrals tomorrow, or whatever it might be. And so each week we have a topic there. So if you're not a member of there and you want to have one more resource available to you, check out the classroom. It's very much educationally focused, as you can see in the name. So, but yeah, join that group if you want to, and we'll, oh, and the 10,000 Club, if you want to know why we've chose that name, is it Seth Godin or is it Simon
No.
Sinek that does the
It was
10,000
Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell, one of those guys. All right. So Malcolm Gladwell, basically, it was in the book Outliers. He
Right.
said it takes 10,000 hours to become a master of your craft. And so that's why we call it the 10,000 Club, because like a little half hour increments, we're going to move everybody closer to 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Hey, see
All
y'all.
right, thanks guys. See you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.